Hello and welcome back to Let That Sink In. My name is Tiffany Smith and I am the Director of Marketing and Communications here at PM and Associates. And I am joined by my co-host Todd Morgan, outside sales rep in St. Louis. Hi Todd, how you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Wonderful. I am
Good.
so excited for today's episode. We
Me
are on
too.
episode 15 and we are joined by Kristen Kale from Whitehall Manufacturing. Hi Kristen, how are you doing today?
Hi guys. Hi Tiffany. Hi Todd.
Hey,
Hello,
Kristen.
team.
How are you doing?
I'm
I
doing
like
great
that.
today. Out here in Los Angeles. So it is
Oh,
sunny today, but we
so
are supposed to be getting a
jealous.
hurricane.
Oh,
Who knew
Yeah,
that?
you
okay, so
guys have a
not so
lot of
jealous.
rain on the way. So I hope you guys are safe this weekend.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
Well, Kristen, we have been chatting a little bit before the podcast and have heard about your incredible career. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit about how you have been working at Whitehall, or how you came to work at Whitehall, and your awesome career in the industry.
Well, thank you, Tiffany. I don't like to talk about myself as much sometimes, but we'll try here. So I've actually been in the plumbing industry, yes, Todd, officially 30 years. Okay.
Nice. Yeah, we have a similar
Um,
similar time frame there.
Didn't know I was going to be in the plumbing industry. Went to undergrad here in Southern California and marketing, Tiffany. So marketing and sales. And yes, I had worked at an ad agency actually. And this is a weird fun fact is I worked for Brita. So
Wow.
the water filters, right?
And there
Yeah.
you were in the plumbing industry,
That's
whether you
right.
liked it or not.
Well, a little different than that.
Yeah.
Right.
My grandfather, which his name was Earl Morris,
Mhm.
okay, who actually founded our company, which at the time was known as Acorn Engineering Company.
Mhm.
He called me up. I was working at ad agency and said, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" And I'm like, "I'm working." And he's like, "No, you're gonna have lunch with me." And I'm like, "Grandpa, I have to work. I just can't take off."
Yeah.
And long story short, I actually go have dinner with him. He's
Mhm.
like, "What are you doing? Oh my gosh. You need to come and you need to work for me, and you need to work for me for only 2 years." And I was like, 2 years. Okay, what am I going to do? And he goes, "You're going to work with this new company that I just bought, and I don't know what the hell to do with it." Okay. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Well, it's
That
this
sounds like a
company."
fantastic offer,
I
by
love
the
it.
way.
Yeah,
Thanks,
right?
Grandpa. Yeah, like so glad you
Thanks
thought
a
of
lot.
me. Right. Yeah.
Well, he was funny too, because he's like, "It's plumbing, but it's really not plumbing. And I really didn't know what I bought." Okay. So
Keeps getting
I
sorry.
better.
love this.
Yeah.
So I come over, but this is what really sold me on it. Okay. And we were just talking off this whole screen a little bit about traveling and road tripping. Is he says, "In these 2 years, what you have to do is you have to work for me, and you have to work from 7 a.m. and I will find out if you're not working to 4:30 p.m. on Fridays. But you get to drive this." At the time we called it a trailer. Okay. "This mobile vehicle across the United States and Canada, and you need to call in every engineer," and at that time mechanical engineers and contractors and manufacturers reps. And I had no idea what any of this was, even though I had actually worked at Acorn every
Mhm.
summer. I had put everything, Todd, I had worked just like you. I had worked in purchasing, I've worked on
Mhm.
order desk, I have worked in warehouse, I've worked on assembly, something called an air troll valve, by the way. I know how to put those together because I put them together one summer completely, okay, and tested them. So anyhow, he's like, "You need to drive this vehicle, and it's going to probably take you about 2 years to do this." And I was like, And he says, "And if I were you, I might go to New Orleans potentially in in February.
Mhm.
And I might go to Colorado maybe in January. I might be strategic about putting this together." And he also goes,
Mhm.
"And where are you living? You have your own apartment. By the way, you're going to, for when you do this, you need to move back in with your parents, save up some money because you're going to be on the road Monday through Friday, no matter where you are." So
Right. Save some
I was
money.
Oh,
like,
wow.
so he came to me and I said, "Have kid 22. What are you going to do?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, sounds pretty cool." So That's what I did. I did it for 2
Wow.
years. I went to every state, every province. Okay.
That's so cool.
But
Except
what
for
a cool
the
experience
Dakota.
for a 22-year-old. I
Yeah.
mean, that
No
is
kidding.
awesome.
Yeah. No cell phone back then, remember? Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So we
You had the
had,
Rand McNally map out.
Yes.
yes,
Oh
exactly,
my
Todd, you
gosh.
know,
The
and
young people don't have a damn clue what
I
that is,
know.
but
Did you have to print off like your Google Maps, you know? Yeah. Or you're like,
no
or did
Google
you have
Map
like,
back then, Tiffany.
oh
No,
yeah.
no, no, no.
Nope.
We had this like
Nope.
whole book. And then
You
this
didn't
is a
even
great
have
story
like the
too.
print offs? Like,
No, the
nothing
Rand
Oh, no,
down
McNally
no,
there.
Road
No,
Atlas.
no.
you had the book.
Yep.
You
Yeah, you
literally
had
had
an
the
actual
book.
book and you had
Oh
to
my
change
gosh.
and you had to know your coordinates. I mean, all
Oh
kinds of,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that
That's
had to be a heck of an
intense.
adventure, though.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh
so let
wow.
me ask you, did you ever leave Whitehall from that moment on, or still here?
Well, yeah. So those 2 years, yes, I did finish what I initially was.
Mhm.
I had a partner at the time too, by the way. So what I would do is I would drive the vehicle and then I'd park it at the airport. And then the keys, I had to be strategic. We had to be strategic about where the keys were going to be.
Okay.
I had to call. There was no emails back then. I had to go, hey, I put the keys in this special spot.
Oh my
No one
gosh.
was going to find it. You had to go to the airport, figure out where it is. Yeah, all these different logistics that we don't realize, are part of modern life now. So
Mm-hmm. How the heck did we do it?
Wow.
yeah, but anyhow, after that, now I ended up kind of staying here. So yeah.
And that is the
I did go
plumbing
back
industry.
to school in the meantime, working, but I was working full time doing that too, and I got my MBA. So yeah.
Well, that's
That's
very cool though.
incredible.
But yeah, like I said, it's not unusual for anybody who ends up in the, you started by saying, I didn't expect to be in the plumbing industry. I myself did
Right.
not expect to be in the plumbing industry either. And once you're in, you're in.
They
Absolutely.
just, right?
Yep. I even tried to escape once and got me right back. So
Oh, that is so cool. So what a cool start to your career.
Yeah.
And a personal note though, I also have to know, because I was reading about your bio and you also have 2 wonderful kids who are now just both in college, as of
that's
just a
cool.
couple of days ago, right?
Correct. In
Oh my
fact,
gosh.
2 days
So
ago.
empty
Wow.
house. Oh man. How
Big
you doing?
adjustment.
Well, today's Friday. This
Yeah.
is my first weekend.
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't know yet.
So you don't know yet. Yeah.
Adjustment.
The
Yes.
first weekend without like a million things to do. So last
Yes.
weekend, I was telling Todd, was my son's last golf tournament.
Wow.
But yeah, fun.
big
So
changes.
great though.
Big changes.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So, but overall, so be a wonderful husband at home too, who's in residential lighting. So
Correct.
2 kids, wonderful husband, and a career now. How long in Whitehall?
So officially 30, almost 31 years,
31
but it wasn't
years.
all Whitehall. I actually did some marketing for us too here.
Okay.
So I've had some different roles.
Yeah.
But I started in Whitehall and now, yes, as of about 10 years ago, I'm back at Whitehall.
We are just so excited to have you here on the podcast today here, Kristen. Can you give us a little bit of history about Whitehall? I know that they were acquired in the 80s by Acorn Engineering. So can you just talk a little bit about how they got started up until today?
Sure. So company has been around since 1946, was founded in Whitehall, New Jersey. And the owner, which I had the pleasure of knowing, his name was Sal Zeta. I still talk to his son, Bob Zeta, who lives in New York. Okay. And what his father did is come out with these stainless steel whirlpools to rehabilitate the veterans. And specifically back then, it was for wound management. It was for diabetes. Has a whirlpool. They've been around. You see them everywhere. It's kind of fun because athletes now are known in the athletic market. They'll go, "Hey, I have my Whitehall turbine behind me. That's Whitehall." So they had manufactured these all up into the 80s. It was my grandfather that met Sal at a trade show. And my grandfather had wanted some manufacturing equipment. And so him and Sal just kind of became friends. Sal said, I kind of want out of the industry, but I can help you, and my grandfather bought this company, and brought it into Acorn Engineering. Well, he really didn't know what to do with it. And he didn't realize that we bought a distribution channel. So the distribution channel we had bought was to the athletic trainers, the physical therapists, chiropractors even. and trying to market to those people, because in our traditional plumbing world, as we all know, it was our traditional reps. So anyhow, kind of had to work with that a bit. We started adding the healthcare product line. That's how it became a healthcare vertical. So whirlpools were first. Then we brought in something called carewares. So they're patient care units. And it's a product that now is used a lot in renovation, but it's in ICU and CCU parts of hospitals specific, and it's a sink and a toilet. We have all kinds of different designs of those. Then we got into scrub sinks, and then here we are today.
That's fantastic.
Very cool.
So we were so honored to be graced with your presence here about, probably, was it a month ago that you were here in Indianapolis? Is that right?
It was.
Yes.
Right.
And Kristen was like the host extraordinaire on some videos for us called On Tuesdays We Train.
Nice.
We have a great video series that is released once a week. And she did some fantastic videos for us. And I have to tell you, Kristen,
thank you,
that you are our second most popular video right now. And I want to tell you that the only one beating you right now is John Marini. So,
John Marini. Oh, come on. Drains are more exciting than how to figure out resistant bathrooms.
There's a little bit of rivalry right there.
I like it.
Oh, boy.
So,
always a rival between Acorn and J.R. Smith. Although we're both the same company.
That just means you got to get on your socials and share it. That's right. So you can beat them.
So, but yes, you are the second most viewed video right now, because she did a fantastic job. But yeah, just a little sibling rivalry right there, right? The same Morris group, same MGM.
I got it.
Yeah, so the video that we are speaking of was about ligature resistance. So I think that's, before we get into products, I would love to talk a little bit about ligature resistance. So can you speak a little bit about that? Because I think most of your products, a lot of your products revolve around that. So can you explain to our audience what that means? What is ligature resistance exacty?
Sure, Tiffany. I have my little
visual aid
here with me.
I love it. Visual aids.
So this industry, it's really interesting. Under Whitehall, it's actually a product line called Best Care. And I'm kind of proud that we're kind of, on the forefront of being the manufacturer, designer, kind of, in this industry since, I called it cottage back in the day. It was a few people called us up and said, I need some anti-ligature product, and we were like, what are you talking about? And then we had to put this whole kind of category together. Our team, our marketing team, our manufacturing team, they put some products that were kind of designed for prisons and correctional, but then we put a more aesthetic, a softer look onto it. And that's how ligature resistant came for the psychiatric market. Okay. So it's product that, unfortunately, it's called a sentinel event when you hang yourself. And in the psychiatric behavioral healthcare world, the number one way that people self-harm themselves with a sentinel event is to hang themselves. And then that's for inpatient facilities. You got to realize in psychiatric, it's become so vogue lately. A lot of, what we're doing right now, it's telehealth, outpatient, but we're talking inpatient specifically. Psychiatric and behavioral healthcare facilities that are a bit of a subset of that correctional world too. So what is the ligature resistant? What does that mean? It really means tying or binding. And here's my kit. Yes. And so there's this architectural company, or architecture firm actually, in Troy, New York, of all things, that it's called Architecture Plus, and they have a guidebook that has become really kind of a guidebook that a lot of people use in our industry. Even as of 5 years ago, it wasn't as prevalent, but now it is. And they came up with this toolkit to test products on how ligature resistant or proof. We use that verbiage instead of saying anti-ligature. Now we like to say ligature resistant. I think we're the ones that kind of coined that as LR now. But a lot of product things that people can have as inpatient that they might be able to catch an edge on. So say this is a faucet, and here's just a a mouse you can use. You can also use
Shoestrings.
shoestrings, which they
Mhm.
will sometimes issue you in inpatient facilities. Plastic knives. Okay. How can you wedge? So can you
Mhm.
stick something in between and then also tie off on that to create a ligature point?
Okay.
And
Mhm.
the most prominent areas that unfortunately people do commit suicide in by hanging is in inpatient bathrooms.
Okay.
Reason being is they are private for the most
Mhm.
part. Okay. It's the one place, finally, thank goodness, we don't have a lot of cameras in. Okay.
Right.
So in our toolbox too, I also have a pencil. Okay, so this is something else potentially you could harm yourselves with. And then the most common is our earbuds. Okay,
Yeah.
so sticky earbuds.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So making sure that we are designing sinks, faucets, shower systems, anything that goes in the bathroom that you can't catch this edge on, and self-harm cannot happen.
That's
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
it's actually fascinating. You
Yeah.
guys had the Whitehall mobile showroom here at our market here in St. Louis, and I was fascinated, if you will, by the number of ways that somebody can harm themselves, which is the first time that I had actually heard the term anti-ligature being asked to get out of my vocabulary. It was,
Okay.
because anti-ligature, what was explained to me is where there is a will, there is a way. And unfortunately, if somebody really, really, really wants to harm themselves, they might just find a way. So to call it anti-ligature, I was told to kind of get that out of my vocabulary and go with the ligature-resistant as part of my vocabulary, because that just, again, you just never know. But I was also now in that showroom, now thinking about that and trying to figure out where I could harm myself. And it's quite
Yeah.
incredible what you guys have developed. It really is.
Yeah, no, we have a team. So we're also with this group called the Center for Healthcare Design. In fact, I was with them this morning, and they put on behavioral healthcare conferences, and they've just been a really good force of healthcare design. So everything from salutogenesis, I hope I'm saying that correctly, which is called healthy buildings, like non-infection, natural sunlight, and how actually the built environment can be put together and help patients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What an
yeah.
important initiative. That's
kidding.
so great. That's
And so
awesome.
much that you don't, I mean, that just the layperson does
Don't
not
even
think
think
about,
about. No,
right?
not at all.
It's
Yeah.
actually a very fascinating subject, I think,
Yeah.
anyway,
And
Kristen.
tell me what kind of products. So tell me the Whitehall products that you guys are producing that are ligature resistant that you guys are doing for this initiative.
So anything that goes into a bathroom.
Okay.
That's really what we specialize in. We specialize in suites,
Okay.
so that the architect, designer, even facility doesn't really have to go, oh, I need to pick a sink, I need to pick a faucet, I need to pick a mirror, I need to pick a shower. It's just one congruent looking suite. One of them is called Dignity Suite. We also have something, it is now, which is kind of common in the behavioral healthcare world, is dual occupancy rooms.
Okay.
So especially for the veterans. Okay. So if this makes sense, the buddy support system, they're finding that having dual occupancy really helps. For example, my son in his new dorm room has a roommate. I don't know if he's all happy about that sometimes, but it's the buddy system when you're in something new and you can relate together. So trying to make this safe, nice environment that feels a little bit more home, but that doesn't have these harmful edges to it. Is also ADA. So say, someone actually, who needs a little bit different support, even person of size bariatric is what, and some new terminology also we've been hearing too. So.
And Kristen, tell me what other facilities do these products from Whitehall? Can you find these products from Whitehall in?
So it's healthcare in general. Okay. So it is a psychiatric behavioral healthcare wards. Even large healthcare facilities will have like a section potentially. Something that's really happening lately is the emergency department. We call them EDs. And now there's something new called empath.
Okay.
And what empath is where they have trained people in the emergency department that can really determine or triage without the patient knowing they're being triaged, okay? Because you don't want to be that patient that goes, oh, I'm going to that room.
Right.
And you know, a lot of these psychiatric issues have been overwhelming emergency departments as of lately, even before pandemic. Okay. So emergency departments, but can also be used in addiction centers. That's become huge.
Oh,
Makes
yeah,
sense.
absolutely.
Yes. Residential dementia. Okay.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of
Okay.
crossovers here. And then also we just call it normative design, but even the correctional facilities will have subsets of healthcare that they have to be safe with because they'll have psychiatric issues too, because so many different people who are incarcerated actually do, you know, have mental, you know,
Mhm.
issues. So there's all these subsets. There's a lot of
Sure.
places where the product can go, but we call it a universally designed product. And that's a product that meets a lot of check boxes. And
Mhm.
the
Okay.
check boxes I have are ADA. Okay. Is it bariatric, person of size?
Mhm.
And then here's the last one we've been talking about in this podcast is it ligature resistant? Is it a safe bathroom?
Mhm. Okay, so I'm talking about those best care suites and universal design. Now, you just touched on what universal design really is, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but universal design, as far as I know, it does meet the checked boxes of ADA height and bariatric and whatnot, but it also becomes a restroom for everybody. Is that
Correct.
correct?
This
So
is
that
very correct. Yes.
okay, so you're not producing a second space. You've got one space
Yeah.
that everybody can access, whether they're wheelchair, need wheelchair accessibility, or they are just a healthy person who, doesn't need those extras.
Exactly. So the whole thought process is, you know, especially in healthcare facilities is, you know, anyone can use this room.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have to design a special ward or wing of this, or it can be repurposed. So something too that's really been happening a lot in healthcare is, gosh, there's so many different, you know, office buildings, and these office buildings now are being repurposed. So our
Mm-hmm.
Acorn back product line, by the way, we work a lot with that,
Mm-hmm.
is so we can move things around, and it works perfect for behavioral. Because you don't have clogs, you know, you can move things. The plumbing's easy. You don't have
Sure.
drainage issue. I could go on and on about that too. So, you
Yeah,
know,
Acorn Vac will be another podcast because it's actually quite fascinating.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
was on the
We need a
same
whole nother
Whitehall
podcast
truck.
for this. Yeah. For
Yeah,
that.
the
Yeah.
Whitehall Mobile Showroom had that as well, and
Mhm.
I learned a lot because before they got there, Kristen, I'm thinking, why would you need this, right?
Mhm.
And we'll do that podcast, and we'll tell you why you could use an Acorn Vac system because they're
Yeah.
really quite fascinating and they do serve a purpose. So obviously, we've talked a bit about the best care products and how they fit into a universal design space. When you guys were here, and I just want to talk about this, the things I would have never thought about as we relate to ligature resistance was your mirror. The mirror that was on the Whitehall mobile showroom
Yeah.
was actually metal. It was all stainless steel. There was no glass to it at all. And you would never know it was not a glass mirror. It was fascinating how perfect you guys got that. How the heck did you do that? I mean, it's
Thanks,
amazing.
Todd. It did take some perfection, by the way, because
I'll
we
bet.
did have. I'm going to be honest with you. We had some issues with what we call the funhouse effect.
Yeah,
Okay?
right. That's what you'd expect.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really, you know, polished stainless steel. So we've been manufacturing for the correctional justice industry for many, many years, but we took that idea of making it a pretty designed product that actually works into wet environments. That's
Mhm.
another big factor of this. And it didn't have any fasteners around it too. So if you noticed it, Todd, too, you didn't see screws. You don't, because
Nope.
in the behavioral healthcare world, people get really fixated.
Okay.
So you've got to take all of that away too. I'd even talk about that as a design constraint. So, you know, but the mirrors, you're right. They're polished stainless steel. They can come in all kinds of different colors. We can make them large, small, match decors, but yeah, you would never know.
That's also
Yeah.
worth noting too, as far as the colors you were just saying. The other thing about this Best Care Suite is it doesn't have to look like an institutional prison bathroom.
No.
It's not going to be just this 100% stainless steel, very cold, uninviting place. I mean, you guys
Right.
have nice color to the product itself, and you've got, you're not sitting down on a stainless steel seat. You have that really nice seat that's on the toilet that's in that Best Care mobile suite. And yeah, it looks so much better, I think, than people would expect. As we're sitting here talking and we don't have visuals right now representing the product, I think people would be surprised to know how good looking the product is for that universal design space.
Yeah, no, we really pride ourselves on, my design team. In fact, I was just down with them. We have some new products coming out. They're going to be very, very aesthetic, but yet functional. Okay. So that's the big issue is, once again, those design constraints, we try to check all those boxes. But yeah, we're trying to make it seem like a dignified product. That's why we even have the name, the Dignity Suite.
Sure.
Right.
Just to make it more home-like, something more natural you would use. For example, even water. Okay, you don't even think about hot water, cold water. So we have this faucet that has a dual temperature to it. So the facility person can set the temperature at the ambient water temp and then also cold water temp, because, for example, that patient may want to wash their face in a somewhat of ambient water, but then they want cold water to brush their teeth. So giving the patient some choice too is another part of design.
Sure. And it also
it
helps with independence as well.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't feel that, everyone's, for example, in the correctional facility justice market, I can't flush my toilet. Okay, well,
right.
Well, we could do that here.
I can't choose the temperature of my water. Right.
Sure.
I know. We always come back to toilet talk with me too, by the way. I mean,
I love
oh God, Mom, no more toilet talk.
It is our world.
I know. I was going to say, I feel like that's all of our households. Right. Yeah.
So, Kristen, shifting gears a little bit, and getting away from that Best Care suite and talking about another product, could you tell us about the Model 4121 DA scrub sink with eye wash?
Okay.
What are some of the features, and can you explain how this product complies with USP 800 and what is USP 800? So I know that was a lot of questions thrown at you.
Yeah.
So maybe we start with, what is USP 800?
Okay. That is a specific code, and it's for the pharmacopoeial, if I get this correct. Okay. It's if you Google it, you can just put in USP 800, and it's a specific code that in compounding pharmacies, they have to have a scrub sink where they can scrub, and they also need to have an eye wash.
Okay.
So on that particular sink, it's interesting because we have two different water supply lines. Okay, we're all in plumbing here. So we have the eye wash, okay, which we all know needs to come out at particular degrees.
Absolutely.
Right. You have your compounding pharmacy there, you get something in your eyes, it has to come on and be effective and work. But then you also can create a scrub. You can scrub to the elbows or, do that too. So
that would have its own independent faucet that you would pipe to that and be able to control your temperatures as opposed to the eye wash. Gotcha.
You got it. The other thing too that we do with all of our sinks, no matter what, is have an offset drain.
Okay.
And the reason for that, I don't know if you guys know this, is that the water, if it goes right into the drain, it can create a plume.
Okay, sure.
And bacteria and film in that P-trap. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Come out. There's been some, in our CE course, we kind of go over this, but even SARS, they kind of found out in
my gosh.
I think it was an ICU room that there was a sink next to a bed, and they couldn't figure out how this, the bacteria or virus was actually, transmitting, and it was actually through plumbing. So
and it was literally pluming out of the drain.
Wow.
So there is another checkbox to all this, is infection prevention in healthcare. Okay. So
that's great.
And Acorn Vac, as you know, too, doesn't have a plume with the toilet. So if you put a vacuum style behavioral healthcare toilet together too, you can build upon that too. So
one of the universities just did a study too, because it hit the, you heard it on the radio and the television about 6 or 8 weeks ago. One of the universities did a study on the plume.
Yep.
And
Colorado.
I tell you, Google it if you want to, and watch it if you want to, but you will lower your toilet seat before you flush after you watch this. So
Don't brush your
Yikes.
teeth.
you lower the seat
I have
before you
not
flush.
seen anything about this. I'm
it's
terrified
terrible.
now.
It's terrible. Yep.
It's
Yeah, they
terrible.
basically have it under like a black light type, scenario, and then they flush and you see what goes flying. So those toothbrushes that are a foot and a half away from the toilet and all that, you will rethink everything.
I got it.
So
Okay, here's me in the public bathroom is I have my Starbucks coffee and I bring it. Yeah, no.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You'll rethink all that sort of stuff once you see the most recent
My life
study.
has forever been changed, you guys. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Again, this is our world, right?
Okay.
Is the 4121DA currently available and in stock?
Yes, Todd. In fact, not just that model, most of our scrub sinks now, even our large format scrub sinks, our infection prevention sinks, we have a myriad of different, we call them scrub sinks, but they're also food preparation sinks that can be used anywhere. Most of them are in stock.
I'm totally going off of what we had discussed prior to this, but you guys also do the ice tubs, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
That was like what they started with, right? That was like
in fact, I never went into that. What we started with buying Whitehall.
I read about that.
Well, I have seen some of the absolute coolest ice tubs from you guys because of the fact that you can put color and things and graphics on them. You guys have made some really stellar ones for some of the NFL teams and other pro teams.
I just did the Cowboys, by the way. So we've done literally everyone, like Panther. I mean, you talk to us. Unfortunately, we can't get installation photos because they're teams. Okay?
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of high schools. And that's what Whitehall started with. Okay. Back to this, back in 1946, Whitehall was formed in Whitehall, New Jersey. That's why it's called Whitehall. Is they manufactured these rehabilitation, what they call whirlpools.
Okay.
And today we know the whirlpools from all the professional sports talk hosts where they sit in the ice baths after, their game and they talk about it. And yes, that is still Whitehall. And that's what we're really well known for. And we do everything from 10-gallon to 425-gallon burn tanks. Okay.
Wow.
And yes, we can, put logos and colors and we have a double walled one. We work with mixing valves, the drains. So it's this whole system that goes into training rooms. This is kind of fun fact too, is we manufacture a product called Cleat Pro that steams any types of cleats. It used to only be for soccer players. We call them football players, really.
Okay,
but it's a product that we manufacture that, it steams them. So it conditions the cleats to put on the players' feet. We do gloves. So we call it gloves.
That's pretty cool
too. Ballet dancers, believe it or not, with their shoes.
Sure.
So,
and that's just to help form it up to their feet and make them comfortable quick and break them in quickly. That's pretty neat. And there seems to be an uptick with the ice baths with private, just residential people. Yeah, just people who now are just becoming a trend. You're seeing more and more and more people doing the ice bath thing. So I would imagine you guys are even starting to sell more of that into a private residential space. And probably never really expected that.
Well, we do. So I worked with a company in between my Whitehall stint. I started a company that's part of Morris Group called Neo Metro. So, and I focused at that point on bars, restaurants, nightclubs, and residential. And we have a lot of high profile clients. Okay. Tiger Woods being one of them. I mean, I can go down the list of a ton of things, but even Lady Gaga. Okay. So Lady Gaga loves our ice bath. She actually took her around with her on tour, and now she has a residence in Vegas.
Wow.
So, yeah, we actually got to go backstage.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
You're kidding me.
No,
good for you guys.
Kidding.
That's cool.
Yeah. So all kinds of, so many different sports players want their own ice bath themselves in their house. So we do the residential for them, but we also really focus on the sports market.
Yeah.
And that's where Whitehall like kind of came up. What happened, okay, way back again in 1946 is it was right after the war. And it was for rehabilitation of the veterans.
Sure, that makes sense.
Wow.
Okay. So here's Whitehall today. We're really focusing again on the veterans.
Yeah. And
Yep.
rehabilitation.
And
That's
rehabilitation.
really outstanding. That's
in
a
a
cool
different
story.
way. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So
That's
It's come
awesome.
full
Thank
circle.
you. Thanks for sharing that.
is
Yeah,
so
that's very cool.
neat. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, to kind of flip the script back a little bit, I know we were talking about the scrub sink and bringing it back to infection prevention. And I know that is a huge message for you guys and your products. And I want to talk a little bit about your all-in-one dialysis boxes. Your all-in-one dialysis boxes, they really are designed for infection prevention. And can we talk a little bit about the features that protect the patients from infections and how this is achieved through your boxes?
Okay. So dialysis boxes are interesting because people, when they think dialysis, it's the actual supply box. Okay. And I'm going to do a visual here if you don't mind for a second.
Nope, that's fine. Yep.
So what it is there's a dialysis machine and then there's the box that we manufacture.
Okay.
A lot of confusion on that sometimes.
Sure.
Okay? Because there's different types of facilities too. There's going to be your dialysis centers, so kind of like DaVita and Fresenius. And then there's an acute care, healthcare facility. So think of your large hospital that you go to. Okay.
Right.
And what happens now is in these facilities, as we were talking about future proofing, is we don't want to move the patient around as much. We want to keep the patient set, okay? Because the more you move patients around, the more infection happens. So we want to have everything in the patient room that they could potentially use. And one of them is they have to have dialysis, okay?
Okay.
But sometimes it's used, sometimes it's not. And here's the issue with the dialysis box too, is it's hooked up to the dialysis machine and it's water. So there's a lot of misperceptions now that it has to be RO water. No, it's not RO water anymore. Okay. But it needs to be kind of this box. So Whitehall, Acorn, we've been manufacturing dialysis boxes, since the 60s, really. So it's in essence kind of I don't want to dummy it down, but a fancy hose box. Okay. But it has a backflow preventer in it. That's the big issue. And it's all modular. So currently the way that dialysis is designed with a mechanical contractor, they'll have a lot of dead legs because they're going to have one kind of mechanical room. And what happens is that water supply is going to each patient. Okay. So Tiffany,
the same water supply is going to each patient. Okay.
So yuck again, we're back to this.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Gosh, wow.
Okay. Same philosophy, by the way, with ice machines. Okay.
Yeah.
You do want purified water, and that's another one of our sister divisions, which is Murdoch, which we get into purified, and that's a whole other other part of us. But the whole issue, okay, you're asking me really, why is this infection prevention, a dialysis box? So it's preventing backflow in the water, okay, contamination with the water. It also cuts down on the cost for the plumber, okay? So now you don't have to have, the mechanical room and all those dead legs, okay? And all of that stagnant water you're not going to have anymore.
That's incredible.
So that's what lends itself to that 64% potential savings for the contractor in both time and material. Obviously, you already identified one of the bits of material, and that's the backflow preventer, right? It's in the dialysis box. So therefore, we've already eliminated some material costs right there.
Correct.
And then, as you mentioned, up to 64% savings in time and labor for the installer. And that's huge. That's massive.
Incredible.
Especially on a project that size.
Yeah. It also can have a trap primer in it. Okay. So remember I said they don't use them all the time.
Right.
Okay. So that's another benefit. We can customize them. So for some large facilities, we've actually customized them. so that it works with their particular product better, and the water bearing too, and the, you know, with the walls also, we manufacture solid surface, so we can make flanges, tabs different, you know, fit in between studs. You know, just there's a lot of reasons to use what we call a modular dialysis box.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that
That's
explanation
great.
very
Yeah,
much.
absolutely.
Yeah, well, I mean, because those are quite honestly, I mean, dialysis boxes, those become pretty technical products, and you know, obviously specified products, and so the explanation was excellent, and I thank you very much for that, because you've made it clearer for me, and I sell them. So for anybody who's watching the podcast, that was a great explanation. So thank you very much for that, Kristen.
Well, good. Just so you know, too, what we've done with a lot of facilities is we do a Zoom call like this because we love to work with the facility people. We like to work with the nurses, the practitioners, everyone involved.
Sure.
And what we'll do is when we do an install is they get kind of confused too, is okay, let's have an initial, let's go over where everything is, you know, all these misconceptions sometimes in the product. It's pretty simple sometimes, but even installers, you know, so I'll get some people too going, I want to put in my head wall. And then I'm like, well, but you've really got to make sure that, you know, the facility people, the installers understand it too. So try to get everyone involved.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah.
Well, hey, I know. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go right ahead, Tiffany.
No, I was going to just say, I know that you mentioned earlier in the podcast that you had some new products coming up for Whitehall. Can you give us any kind of sneak peeks about those? Can you clue us in? I know.
Trying to get her to reveal the secrets.
I know. Sneaking a little question here at the end.
Coming. I've got to be
okay.
A little bit on this, but
right.
okay, this is funny. It's gonna hook you in. Ha ha.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I don't have it right here, but I do have a new.
Any little details you can give us.
Yep, exactly. Great. Anything.
Yeah. So when we're going to go back to ligature resistant products right now, so designing a lot of people come to us and say, hey, have you thought about this, your whole bathroom? The whole industry comes to us. So it's not only like, for example, I work with Johns Hopkins. Gosh, I've worked with, you know, Stanford. I can give you a lot of different people, but they come to us and say, hey, we want this, we want that. Here's the idea. And then we do focus groups too on products. So one product that came out of that, and sounds really silly, is a hook. And we're calling it the Dignity Suite hook, but it is, it's nice looking. Okay. We can have links to this too. But the nice part is remember the very beginning, I was showing you my testing kit.
Sure.
It's passed Architecture Plus's whole testing program and protocol. And it's a Division 10 product. I just want to mention in our ligature resistant world, we have Division 22 product, which are all the, you know, plumbing, which we're all plumbing people, but don't forget we call it Div 10, but the Division 10 accessories. We have a lot of those: toilet papers, grab bars, the only graspable grab bar on the market, by the way. And then this new hook.
I can't wait to see that hook, because I'm sitting there running it through my head going, how did you do this? So I can't wait to see it. That's exciting. And I look forward to seeing the design on the hook, because you've piqued my interest. So
absolutely.
Can I bring up one more product? So this other product,
yes, please.
For the veterans. And this is what they did, is they came to us and said, hey, dual occupancy, you know, we really need. And what's happening is we're doing a lot of renovations. So we don't only do new construction. Okay. We work with architects, designers. We have CE courses. We do all that stuff. But we also do a lot of renovation. Okay. People don't understand that all the time. So and the two worlds are so drastically different, right?
Right.
Okay. So we don't have the contractors are different, all this stuff.
Sure.
So what happens is in these old VA facilities is they'll have alcoves for their toilet rooms. And they're like, oh, I have to fit 56.5 inches, and it has to be ligature resistant. And oh, can we make it nice because these guys need to shave, or this one happens to have women in it. And you know, so we have this whole new product called Cove that it's semi-custom. It is very fast on manufacturing. I'm going to tell you, we're like a couple weeks. You can have this semi-custom sink design that's ligature resistant, bariatric. You can have round sinks, square sinks, whatever you want. So the architect and designer love that. Okay. But it's a retrofit product. Okay. So the facility guys are like, seriously, I don't have to go to Corian and figure out my Corian top, my caseworker, figure out that. And it's we're going to have access through the trap cover for the plumbers, and it's all
Yeah.
going to be here in 2
Oh, that's
weeks.
great.
Oh gosh, it's fantastic. So
Awesome. Well, you guys
That's
do
awesome.
innovate. There is no doubt about it. MGI are just excellent at innovating and coming up with new designs. And as you mentioned, you know, the people that work in the fields, especially specifically in these in the veterans' homes and mental care facilities, a lot of those are the ones, like you said, who almost develop the product in a way for you, at least conceptually find something for you guys to get your R&D department to develop. So
yeah.
yeah, it's really, I really do find the Whitehall discussion fascinating. I really
Yeah.
do.
It's
You
such
know,
an
just
important
it
initiative, such an
is.
important mission.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I absolutely love your company and the brand and what you guys stand for. So absolutely
Thank you.
love
Thank
repping you guys and partnering
Yeah,
with you.
for sure. And you know, a key word I've heard a few times is architect, and this is an architect-driven
Mhm.
product. So, you know, and a lot of folks watch our podcast, whether that's architects, engineers, contractors, plumbing wholesalers, but definitely for the engineering community, the architect community, do not hesitate to reach out to any of our offices for any more information on the Whitehall products, because they really do fit the space, they fit a need, and they do it looking nice at the same time. So we would love to get you more information and train anybody who would like more information on Whitehall products.
Absolutely. And you can find all that information right on our website at p-massoc.com. Thanks again, Kristen, for joining us today. You have been such a fantastic guest. We have loved talking to you about Whitehall.
Oh, good. Toilet talk.
Toilet talk.
Thank you, Kristen.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Have
Such
a
a
great
pleasure.
day.
Thank you.